kagaya po ng baboy, manok at baka. Pero ang Amerika po, hindi po siya yung number one na kinukunan natin ng mga produktong ito. So it is basically Argentina and Brazil. And so kung titingnan po natin yung bilang natin, the numbers, hindi po siguro accurate to look at it na blanket kaagad. Kasi nga po, ang pinakamalaki nating bulto na kinukuha ay mga ginagamit nating ingredients. Pagdating po kunyari sa mga nakukuha natin sa Amerika, example po, manok. Yung Amerika po, pangalawa lang, ang number one po natin pinagkukunan ng manok ay Brazil. Ganon din po halimbawa sa baka, bovine products. Pangatlo lang po, pang-apat lang po ang Amerika sa pinagkukunan natin.
Corn po. Wait.
Yung corn po, pinakamalaki po natin would be Argentina and Brazil still. At ang pangatlo po, actually, pang-apat po ang Amerika. Ang pinakamalaki po natin kinukunan ng mais ay Myanmar. Ayan. So just to provide some details on that, what is the share of the US compared to the total import of the Philippines with the world. Hindi po siya yung pangunahing pinagkukunan natin ng mga produktong ito. Ang malaki lang po ang Amerika ay yung mga kagaya po halimbawa ng wheat at saka po yung soya products. Doon po nang gagaling. Yun po naman ay hindi natin pinuproduce sa Pilipinas. Opo.
Yes, Alan, is there anything we can do to help the agricultural sector? At kinakabahan na ang lahat na talaga naman babahain tayo ng produktong Amerikano.
Yes po ma'am, of course talagang dapat suportahan natin po yung agriculture sector. Kaya po dito sa negotiations, we're very careful po na talagang hindi ho natin kayang ma-expose po yung agri-sector natin dito. Kaya po hindi katulad ng ibang bansa na halos lahat inopen nila yung market. Sa atin po hindi ho natin gagawin yun kasi nga we're mindful of the predicament of our stakeholders.
Pero you said na yung 19% is being imposed. Yung 0% naman natin to US products, ini-impose na ba siya?
Wala pa po. Yung papasok sa atin.
Yung papasok sa atin.
Wala pa.
So wala
status
pa.
Quo po tayo.
So status quo pa doon. But isn't that the agreement? Or isn't that a...
wala. Kasi po, unang-una po, kung magkakaroon man ng agreement, Your Honor, of course, it has to be in writing. It has to be evaluated by DFA kung executive agreement or treaty. And then, dadaan po yun sa proseso natin ng ratification sa concurrence ng Senate bago po natin yan ma-implement. So ngayon po, ang tanong kung may timeline sa negotiation, wala naman pong timeline, but binibilisan po natin sana na tayo ay makapagsara na at para ma-exempt na rin yung ibang mga produkto. Pero ang reality po kasi ngayon is that yung 69 countries po na ito, na merong reciprocal tariff rates, lahat po nagne-negotiate sa US. So you could just imagine, they are dealing with 69 countries on how to come up with a mutually beneficial agreement. So yun po ang situation po ngayon. Kaya po mapapansin nyo naman po, kahit na may mga announcement, may mga tweets, yung details naman po have yet to be negotiated. At yun po yung ongoing negotiations ngayon.
Announced, diba, na 19 Philippine goods going to the US coming to the Philippines 0. Diba yun ang na-announce eh?
Yun dun, well of course po, yun yung sinabi ni sa announcement or sa tweet, no? But if you will read the executive order issued by President Trump like last July 31, in fact, yung imposition niya ng reciprocal tariff rate is on the context that, quote, some trading partners have agreed to or are on the verge of agreeing to meaningful trade, unquote. So, in other words, wala pa po, in the case of the Philippines, doon pa ho tayo sa negotiation stage. At kung, yun nga, katulad ng sabi ko, kung meron man pong masasara, iti-table po namin yun sa DFA for their evaluation, kung yun po ay magiging executive agreement or treaty.
Okay. Because yung pag nangyari yan, I can see that yung poultry industry natin, itong mga industries natin sa livestock, yan ang magiging epekto niyan. And that's a huge chunk of our agriculture sector. No? So, in other words, yan, ongoing pa yung negotiations right now.
Yes po. Kaya po sa mga consultation po namin, very clear naman po ang posisyon ng ating mga stakeholder yan, katulad yung nabanggit nyo, poultry, and we know na very sensitive po ito, no? Unang-una po, itong nature ng agreement nga nito, to be honest po, as far as, of course, international trade rules is concerned, kasi ang US is not treating this as an FTA. But of course, may mga concessions ka na ine-negotiate. So that's why ito pa po yung mga legal issues that we have to trace out. And you are correct po, no? That's why very careful po kami sa negotiation na wag pong i-expose yung ating agricultural sector.
Sa agriculture, hindi lang karne, hindi lang, pati mangoes, di ba, we export mangoes to the US. We export several other agricultural products to the US. So it's good to get a list. Maybe we can get a list also from the DA. Ano bang mga major exports? Can you submit that to the committee, sir? So let's go department by department and hear their comments so that all the invited guests can speak. So we'll start muna with the government side, then we'll go to the of course to the stakeholders to see if this is what's happening on the ground. You have to let us know how we can help you. So let's start. Okay naman po tayo sa DFA. Your Secretary Yusek Jose has already spoken. Yusek Carlo Fermin Adriano of the Department of Finance. I know very well that your secretary came out with a statement about a month ago. I think I have a copy of the statement. 3 to 6 billion pesos ba dollars? Pesos would be the immediate, no, the initial losses. And I would agree because yung Arms Corps Philippines nga lang nag-shut down na sila ng US operations. They lost 500 workers. So the interpretation of that is we lose not only on the export of these goods, but also on the labor sector that they lost jobs. So would you like to comment on that, Yusek?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify, sir, yung nabanggit po ng aming secretary on the 3 to 6 billion are basically tax revenue losses. If ever we will have some more details. So to further clarify, so what we provided to what the DOF provided to the negotiating team is a tax calculator tool wherein if they decide to reduce the tariff rates, ano yung corresponding revenue losses. Yun po yung binigay namin. And at the same time, the DOF provided a list of recommendation based on yung may minimal yung domestic production dito. And at the same time, while minimizing the revenue losses. So may recommendation lang po yung DOF. That's why, dun po sa recommendation namin, ang calculated projected revenue losses is only around 3 billion. But if you expand the list, kung saan bababaan po yung taripa, it can be as high as 6 billion. But again, to clarify, it's only revenue losses. So when we say revenue losses, it's duties plus VAT.
Yeah, not to mention, if there's a zero tariff agreement for importation, uluging-lugi tayo. Correct, Yusek? As you mentioned.
Meron po mga revenue losses kasi ang tariff rates naka-base naman po sa MFN. May MFN rates po tayo. But again, in terms of the list, kung ano po talaga yung bababaan na tariff lines, wala pa po.
May we ask your department, Yusek, to give us clear recommendations, no? Recommendations in a position paper to be submitted to the committee.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Yusek. Now let's go to the DepDev, which is formerly our NEDA. I'm very proud of them kasi ako yung sponsor nila. I'm the father of their new department. May we ask the DepDev, Yusek Rosemary?
Like to cover that thing.
Correct. So we'd like to ask Yusek Rosemary their comments on this because obviously for development and planning, it has a big impact in terms of growth for our country. So Ma'am Rosemary, please expound more.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and also good afternoon. Good afternoon to the Vice Chair and the Chair also, Senator Robin Hood, and then Senator Win, Senator Amy. So we did our simulations. Actually, we have done 3 rounds of simulation. The first time when the retaliatory tariffs, yung April 2 announcement was made, and then the second time yung 20%, And then the third time, yung 19%. And of course, we also gave our recommendations on that. Now, for this particular round of simulation, we have taken note of the new tariff schedule imposed na on China. Let's say yung reduction nga 30% from 145, Vietnam 20% from 46, Japan, etc. And at the same time, we have also just to note as well that we are not privy to the negotiations that are currently ongoing, where si DTI is actually taking lead, but we have taken note of the pronouncements of SecGo. Na in the pronouncements, ang sabi niya, we are working for the exemption of goods like minerals, wood products, metals, transport equipment. Electronics, and then that's on the US side. On our side, I think the pronouncement of SecGo was for the wheat, soy, basic pharma, motor vehicles, and oil seeds. And then we also did simulations where first we assume now what if electronics will be exempted. Tapos isa naman is what if eventually it will be taxed. So at the 90% reciprocal tariffs, we have our simulation actually would show a small negative impact on the GDP immediately. Pero if we manage the transition well, then we think that the model would show that actually in the medium term, it could have positive effects by virtue of trade diversion. So in terms of percentages, it's minus 0.013% from the baseline, and this is equivalent to $70 million in the short term, meaning as early as next year. Tapos, if electronics, the exemption on electronics will be lifted, then medyo mas malaki. We're looking at minus 0.0337% from change from the baseline, and this is equivalent to $157 million. Ang sector that will be negatively affected will be agriculture, and then services. Services by virtue of the reduced logistics, yung sa transport, yung sa mga yun ang magiging impact on them. The industry will be positively affected and benefiting actually because of the exemptions that is being enjoyed by transport equipment, electronics at this point, wood products, metals, minerals, and oil seeds. Yeah. Now, even before this, because we know that currently the negotiations are ongoing, and so what we think is that we should do right now, in addition to the negotiations, is really to emphasize that we are doing a lot of efforts to reduce our non-tariff barriers. That's one. And then number two, we do not engage in currency manipulation. So apparently, ito yung sinasabi nila na dalawang ayaw ng US, specifically President Trump. So we have actually an IMF pronouncement that would say that we do not engage in currency manipulation. Now, with respect to our non-tariff barriers, we already have Administrative Order number 20, that this was actually series of 2023 pa ito. And then we also established the Tariff Committee on Non-Tariff Measures, where ang major mandate nito is to really address the non-tariff barriers. So just to take note that yung non-tariff measures, that's the umbrella. Kasama dito yung mga, yung mga kailangan na phytosanitary measures. But if they're unnecessary, na talagang pangdagdag lang ng cost, then it becomes a non-tariff barrier. So this is actually already in the agenda. Nasa work plan na to ng Committee on Non-Tariff Measures to identify all this and then i-prioritize kung alin yung kailangan nating i-address and how and what would be the instrument. So we also at that time, because at the time we figured that there could be benefits to some sectors, but only if we can increase our production capacity, and therefore. Our suggestion was to provide assistance to this sector. So we're looking at yung transport equipment, nasaan na siya? Ah, nawala.